Very good morning, everyone. How are you? I hope you all are doing good. So, we are back with the current affairs session. As I have told you, okay, can you please confirm? Is the audio video all clear? Anyone? Can anyone confirm that? Anyone, please? Very good morning. All clear? Audio and video? All right then. Okay, so let's begin with the news analysis. And as I have told you already, we are trying to cover up all these newses which could not have been covered. So that's why I'm picking up so many days of current affairs together. And the strategy, as we have discussed yesterday as well, is going to be like this. So whatever explanatory news is there, whichever is related to some finance terminologies, banking terminologies, which require some kind of explanation will be discussed, and then the remaining facts based news, information based news, which just require some mugging up of the facts will be taken up by you, right? So that we can cover up this thing and then we can continue with the daily analysis. In the daily analysis, we will try and cover up all the related dimensions of each and every news in a very much lesser time comparatively. So this is the strategy. Let's begin with the 31st August news. So 31st to 5th September will be covered in today's class. All right. So here in the ESI and finance or business news, the first news which you have is simplified pension form. So this is important, we can discuss this. There's a simplified pension form. Yes, they relate to every examination, right? Every examination. These current affairs, let me tell you, are comprehensive. They cater to need of every examination and every stage. So simplified pension form. What is this and who has launched this? It is, to simplify the process for the retired persons. Okay, the name has been given as Bhavishya. So government has introduced this simplified pension application form. The name, remember, is Bhavishya. Simplified pension application form it is. It is basically designed to streamline the retirement processes, to make it less cumbersome and easy to comply with the retirement process for the central government employees. So this is what the Bhavishya stands for. Yes, they include news from all the newspapers. For PIB, you have separate classes, okay? So this is the thing. Remember, Bhavishya. Who has launched it? It is launched by Union Minister Jitendra Singh. Now, this form basically consolidates 9 separate forms into a single one. So this unified form 6A will be there. This is known as form Bhavishya, right? Earlier, there were separate forms. Almost 9 forms were there. So we want to simplify the process and then bring them under one category. So this is form 6A to streamline the process of applying for the pension for the central government employees, right? This is the thing. Then in the regulatory body news, if you see, first is SEBI proposes expanding list of applicants to informal guidance scheme. Now this is very important, okay? IGS. What is this informal guidance scheme? So see, there are different applicants or registered entities with SEBI, right? You have mutual funds, you have separate, yes, you have stockbrokers, you have mutual funds, you have different entities, right? Other market players. These entities sometimes they require some kind of informal guidance so as to any transaction pertaining over there, whatever rules and guidelines SEBI has. So if there is any kind of interpretation required, are you getting my point, of those things? What will be application of that guideline on a particular transaction to be made, for example? So they can seek such information or informal guideline from the SEBI on such rules and regulations. This is what informal guidance scheme aims at. I hope you are able to understand that, right? Now, SEBI has revised certain criteria monetary criteria under this as well. So remember that the proposed changes, they will raise the fees. So the fees to access, this is not a free access for the entities. Remember, this is not a free access. It requires a fees. So earlier the fees was 25,000 from an applicant. Now it has been increased to 75,000. Okay. Also remember that in case of rejection of such application, only processing fees is kept and the remaining amount is given back to you or given back to the applicant. So here that has also been increased. So processing fees of 5,000 is deducted right now, and the rest is refunded. It has been proposed to increase to 15,000. So the processing fees, the application fees has been revised and increased. This is something you have to remember from this. This is an important news. Next, moving ahead. So this is regarding performance of some private corporate business sector. So RBI's data is there. We just need to look at this news and then we'll move forward, right? So according to RBI's data, the aggregate sales growth of your listed private non-financial companies for the April-June quarter, it has stood at 6.9%. Okay. So it tells about some growth data, and the net profits, if you see net profits of the listed non-government, non-financial companies stood at 14.2% almost. Okay. Then, so net profit has also been this much. Then if you see, sales have been higher. So what is the catch from this news? That their sales has increased. Sales has increased. This is the catch. Now when we say that the sales have increased, there is a sectoral distribution. So this is important, not the figure, but at least remember the sectors which have registered the highest number of sales. These are very, very important. So first you have is manufacturing. Okay. First you have is manufacturing. Then you have is information technology, then non-IT services, then construction, electricity and mining. So just remember these sectors. Okay. Remember these sectors: manufacturing, IT, then non-IT, construction, electricity and mining. Figures are not important, but sectors are important. You can remember the figure for the manufacturing one. Then you have a penalty based news. So RBI has imposed some penalty of almost 2.68 crores on the UCO Bank. Now for what this has been introduced or this has been imposed? So this is in contravention of certain provisions like opening up of current accounts, interest rates and deposits, and fraud classification. So there is some fraudulent activity with regards to these kind of things. That's why the UCO Bank has been charged with 2.68 crores of penalty. So what you need to remember from here is the entity on which the penalty is imposed, right? And who has imposed. The figure is not so much important. This is the thing. And one more penalty, 2.1 lakh on your Sandbank Home Finance Limited. So just remember these entities. Figures, as I am telling you again and again, are not so important, but entities are. This was for non-compliance of certain KYC norms. Then you have banking news. So first banking news you have is regarding HDFC. HDFC has announced GIGA. This is important. This is important. GIGA. What is this GIGA? Now to understand GIGA, you first need to understand gig workers. What do we mean by gig workers? Anyone? Yes, please. Anyone would like to tell me who are categorized as the gig workers in the economy? Anyone, please? Who are the gig workers? I'm waiting for your responses. Freelancers? Okay, very close. So basically, yes, non-traditional manner. Generally, in a traditional manner, the structure, the relation, professional relation of an employer and employee is not maintained here, right? So they work on a contractual basis. You can call them freelancers as well. They might work on a daily basis, right? So these are, yes, and generally they form a part. They form a part of the informal economy. These are the gig workers. So they also work on your e-commerce platforms, for example, right? They work on a contract basis. So for example, your delivery boys working with your say e-commerce platforms. So these are certain examples. Now for gig workers, this has been launched, hence it is important. So what is it? Now you would be able to understand. So the bank has introduced Giga, which is basically a financial suit. So it is nothing but kind of a savings account which you have, okay? Kind of a savings account. Saving accounts in which they will be able to maintain a quarterly balance, say of rupees 10,000. This is for the metro or urban areas, and 5,000 for semi-urban, 5,000 for semi-urban or rural accounts. Now, they also have other facilities, like they will have a business credit card, then they will have health insurance from HDFC Ergo, right? So they will be provided with health insurance cover, credit card. Now, this is basically, if you try to understand and relate it to concepts related to your phase 2 examination which is going to come, you can write these concepts in formalization of the economy, right? Or financial inclusion. You can relate these concepts to, these news to such concepts. So it is a step towards formalization of economy. You are providing them benefits and financial products which they might have missed upon earlier, right? So this is the thing. Next you have is again HDFC Associated has launched a Digi Passbook. Okay, now Digi Passbook is what? It is basically a feature on its Smart Wealth app. So there is a app which the Smart Wealth app which the HDFC owns. Okay, so it allows user to consolidate all their investments under one roof. So via this, you will be able to manage and view all your investments, be them in equity, in your exchange traded funds, ETFs, or demat accounts, right? So you will be able to manage this under one roof. This is the new feature, Digi Passbook, on its already existing app, Smart Wealth. I hope this is clear, right? So these were certain finance or business related news from 31st. Then you have certain national and state news. Now again, yes, this is something you need to remember, is important as well. So Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has approved Navaratna status for certain CPSEs. Now if you know, there's a classification of the central public sector enterprises, right, in Mini Ratna, Navratna and Maharatna. Which are the biggest one? Which are the biggest one? Mini Ratna, Navratna or Maharatnas? Which are the biggest one CPSEs among these categories? Yes, anyone? Mini Ratna, Navratna, Maharatna, which are the biggest ones? So of course, Maharatnas, yes, right? But the news here caters to Navratna status. So you have different criteria and then benefits which these CPSEs enjoy, right? So in Navratna category, they have added these new 4 CPSEs. You have to remember the names and then remember the number. Now the total number of Navratnas, they stand at 25 after this inclusion. Yes, very good. Maharatnas, of course, they are the biggest one. So, which are the entities? You have Railtel Corporation of India, then you have Solar Energy Corporation of India, then of course you have Satluj Jal Vidyut Nigam and National Hydroelectric Power Corporation. So, remember they have been given Navratna status. So, now the total count stands at 25. Okay, total count stands at 25. Then these are some set of rules notified by government for telecom sector, and these are important. Just remember that these kind of rules are going to come into effect. Digital Bharat Nidhi. Digital Bharat Nidhi. So remember, what do they relate to? Digital Bharat Nidhi basically are rules under Telecom Act 2023. Now they are going to replace the erstwhile Universal Service Obligation Fund. Okay, what is the aim of doing this thing? Is basically to provide access to telecommunication services for the underserved groups in the society. Okay. Now basically the government wants via these new rules under the act that the marginalized, so far sidelined, excluded and underserved areas and strata of the society have affordability and accessibility to all the telecom services. This is the overall aim. Just this much is very sufficient from this. Then remember the name of this cyclone, Asna. Just remember Asna, and where was it located? So there was this news that cyclone Asna is likely to move away from the Indian coast, and it was created over the Arabian Sea. Just remember this much, which caused heavy rains in Gujarat as well. Okay. Then this news is not important. It's related to TRI, not that much important. We need not discuss that. But then there are state news which you have. So this is important. You have from Assam. Assam government, if you see, has announced the Poba Reserve Forest. Remember the name. Poba Reserve Forest, which is a rainforest. Poba Reserve Forest, which is a rainforest located in the northeastern part of Assam. They want to notify it as a wildlife sanctuary. Okay, they want to notify it as a wildlife sanctuary. This is the thing. So remember, where is it located? Assam. Present status, rainforest. They want to notify it into a wildlife sanctuary. So then it will have more protection, more resources and more activities. I hope you know the differences between national park, wildlife sanctuary, reserve forest, all these categories. Yes or no? Everyone? Even if you don't know, so this will be a work for today. Just go, and this is very interesting. Try to find out what are the main differences between a national park, a wildlife sanctuary. Why do we classify them differently? I'll ask you in the next class. Okay, everyone? Then you have certain MOUs and mergers. So there's an MOU between Cooperative Organics Limited and Uttarakhand Organic Commodity Board, right? So National Cooperative Organics Limited and Uttarakhand Organic Commodity Board. This is for procurement of organic cereals, okay? Organic cereals to provide better rates to the farmers. Now, basically, procuring organic cereals from the farmers and then providing them better competitive rate for that, for their work, okay? This is the thing. This is an MOU. Then next MOU which you have in the series, okay, this is the only. Then sports news is there. Sports news is there. So if you see, the first news relates to Rubina Francis winning bronze in the women's 10m air pistol, okay, under the Paris Paralympics. You have seen the performance of Indian sports persons in the Paralympics. They have performed really exceptionally well, right? So remember these names and their sports categories and the awards. I don't think we need to discuss all these news. You just need to remember these facts, okay? Sports news is something we need not discuss. Just try to mug up these things. Then you have appointments, conferences and committee. So appointments. The first appointment is related to Federal Bank. So Federal Bank has approved appointment of Krishnan Venkat Subramanian as MD and CEO. Then you have Indian Air Force. Indian Air Force is getting a new marshal, okay? So Air Marshal Tejinder Singh has assumed as the Deputy Chief of Air Staff at the Air Headquarters or Vayu Bhavan. So remember, new Air Marshal is there. Then you have certain conferences. So PM Narendra Modi has inaugurated the National Conference of District Judiciary in New Delhi. Okay. Also remember, in this conference, he has unveiled the stamp and coin commemorating 75 years of the establishment of Supreme Court of India. So remember this fact, in which conference were they introduced? They can ask you in the upcoming phase 1 examinations, okay? Any examination, objective type, they can ask you this. So remember, a stamp and a coin commemorating 75 years of establishment of Supreme Court of India, National Conference of District Judiciary, which was held in New Delhi. Okay. Then you have Bureau of Indian Standards hosting twin conventions, aligning academic research with the standards. So basically, BIS has also launched two conventions here. Two conventions. Twin conventions are there. First in Udaipur, Rajasthan. Remember the locations? Udaipur, Rajasthan, and the other one at Dharamshala, Himachal Pradesh. Okay, the other one at Dharamshala, Himachal Pradesh. Now, the entire aim of this thing is basically to align academic research with the needs, align academic research with the needs of national and international standardization. So, in the category of standardization, we want to promote R&D basically for national level standardization and international level standardization. I hope this is clear. Now, you can relate such news to your static portion for phase 2 as well, where if there's a question related to Indian products finding it difficult to enter the international market. You all know we have discussed this thing. There's WTO standardization norm. Can anyone tell me that? Which Indian products among different categories, they often fail to qualify. Does anyone remember? I have told you the name as well. Try to recall it. All right, I'll be waiting for your answers, right? So, in order to promote more scientific research and standardization and all, to have more prudent and scientific and practical standardization to meet the national as well as the international level, this is an important step. Then obituaries and important days, you can go through these news. These are just facts. So, important days mein, you should remember that the 1st to 30th September, 1st to 30th September has been celebrated or launched as the 7th edition of nationwide Rashtriya Poshan Ma. Okay. It is observed from 1st to 30th September. So, this is 7th edition of the Rashtriya Poshan Ma. This was all about the 31st August news. I hope everything is clear to all of you. Yes or no? Right? So, let's move ahead. Whatever conceptual or technical is there, we will discuss. But the facts, try to mug up them at your own, and that too quickly, so that we can come up with daily analysis very soon, and then we will be covering each and every news in much comprehensive and extensive manner. Okay. Also tell me, I'm waiting for your answers. The WTO standard quality norm, what do we call it, and why Indian products, they fail to meet that criteria. Okay. So let's move to the 1st September news. So 1st and 2nd September now we have. Okay. 1st and 2nd September. First category, ESI finance business mein, there's news regarding GST collection. So GST collection, they have been up 10%. They have increased to 1.75 lakh crores. Okay. This is important. Now, if you could relate it to this year's budget, does anyone remember we have done the budget? You remember the contribution of all these taxes? What has contributed maximum to the government coffers in the category of tax receipts or tax revenue? Anyone would like to tell me? Yes, direct taxes, indirect taxes. So we have seen the descending and the ascending order, if you remember in the budget. Which tax has contributed most to the government's tax receipts under this year's budget? Anyone? So if you see, I have already told you, Very good. Income tax, right? So you see, I have been telling you number of times, income tax, then your GST and corporate profit tax, they are always in top 3 rank. The rank might change, but they remain in the top 3 contributors. They remain as the top 3 contributors to government coffers as tax receipts. Is this clear? So rank might change time to time, but they are in the top 3. So GST again, collection have been rising. Then you have IFSCA. So IFSCA is introducing new unified regulatory framework. Unified regulatory framework for what? For listing securities in the gift city. Listing securities in the gift city. If you have seen, if you were there in the phase 1, RBI grade B, in second shift, I think there was this question from gift city, okay, that the companies which are there, what kind of services do they offer? There was also a question on the JP Morgan listing of Indian government bonds. If you remember, we have discussed an entire editorial on it, right? So most of the things what we are discussing, they are coming from them directly, indirectly. So please stick to the content. Do not multiply your sources and just revise them in multiple times. Okay, this is what I want to convey to you. Then this news, if you go with, so IFSCA basically wants to have new unified regulatory framework for listing securities on the stock exchanges in the gift cities. So you just remember the criteria, there is nothing to discuss. Just remember the eligibility. What is the aim of doing all this thing? Basically to allow Indian and foreign issuers to tap offshore investors. We want to tap offshore investments by listing securities on the 2 stock exchanges in the gift city. What are the names of those 2 stock exchanges? Tell me. Anyone? We have discussed this thing as well sometimes in some class, right? So I want you to tell me the names of these stock exchanges in the gift city. All right. So eligibility, if you see, first says that the companies, they must have recorded an operating revenue of at least $20 million in the previous financial year. What is operating revenue? Operating revenue, basically that the income generated by those companies is from their core business activity, not from any other sources or any other financial leveraging, right? So the income whichever they are generating from their core activities, core income generating business, should be at least how much? $20 million in the previous financial year. Okay, and then they must have a pre-tax profit of at least, pre-tax, not after tax, pre-tax profit of at least $1 million, and a minimum post-issue market capitalization of $25 million. Post-issue capitalization market of $25 million. So these are certain criteria. I am waiting for the answer. Tell me the name of these stock exchanges in gift cities. In the gift city. I would appreciate it. Very good. Okay, so then we have other news, banking news category. So this is important. This is regarding MasterCard and boAt. You have these smart watches being provided by boAt, right? So MasterCard and boAt, they have signed a pact which will enable contactless payments now on boAt's payment enabled smartwatches. So it will allow all your MasterCard holders to make convenient and secure transactions using the wearable devices. So now your wearable devices, they can also be used for contactless payments. This is what it is going to do. Okay. So remember, this is a pact between MasterCard and boAt. Then another news which you have is India Post Payment Bank celebrating its 7th foundation day. Before starting with the news, I have discussed marathon MCQs and budget as well with you. Tell me, this year's budget, how many new branches of India Post Payment Bank they have been announced to be introduced, particularly in the northeastern states of India? This is directly from the budget. Tell me, anyone, if you remember, how many branches of India Post Payment Bank to be set up in northeastern region particularly? Anyone? 100? Very good, very good. 100, right? So we have discussed this thing. Now, what is the news? So 7th Foundation Day, and that's why it is in news. So you just remember it was launched in 2018 and it was established under, of course, Department of Posts, Ministry of Communication, and its 100% equity is owned by Government of India. This is only relevant. Then we have next news in the series. Okay, this is again an achievement for the society. Okay, we are expanding the scope of more inclusive existence in the society. So in that case, you see the role of judicial activism. Here, people in the queer relationships can open joint bank accounts and nominate their partners. So what do we mean by queer relationships? When you have partners which are not recognized under the traditional social norms, basically. So you have LGBTQIA plus community. Now they can nominate their partners. This is the news. Okay, so this is a great achievement for these people to survive and have financial inclusion, right? This is a great step. You can connect it to financial inclusion as well. Now, Ministry of Finance has clarified that there are no restrictions now for the persons of these community to open joint bank accounts. Okay. Then you have national and state news. In the national one, there is news regarding social security to be extended to gig workers through e-Shram. Now I have already told you what do we mean by gig workers, and you must be knowing what is e-Shram portal. So e-Shram portal, you all know, is a portal for the informal workers to make them to integrate them with the mainstream social security schemes and then provide them the benefits of the social security schemes, because they generally belong to the informal sector. So some of them are not even registered, so they fall out of the benefits of the social security schemes of Government of India, right? So this is to cover them under the social security net. Also, when I say social security net or schemes, it encompasses various products like insurance, like pension, like PF, PPF, provident fund, basically all these things, right? I hope you understand social security. This is the thing. Then next, again, very, very important. So you have a proper topic of sustainable development, right? When we talk about sustainable development, it is not sustainability of the humans, it is sustainability in terms of the other species as well. So we need to coexist. Yes or no, agree, right? So vulture population is one of them. Also remember, vultures are a cause of concern nationally as well as internationally. There's a number of population of vultures dying abruptly, right? So if you see the IUCN status of vultures, IUCN, you all must be knowing, right? So it publishes a list, a book known as the Red Data book, right, in which it tracks the status of these species, variety of species at the international and national level, and then categorizes them into different categories depending upon their risk of existence, vulnerability of extinction, all these things. So if you see the IUCN status of vulture in case of India is in different categories, there are different subspecies. So in vulture, it is generally, if you see, critically endangered. They are critically endangered, so we need to protect them. Okay, that's why WWF India chapter, so your worldwide fund, India has launched an initiative that would involve counting of vultures and then raising awareness on critically endangered bird species. As I told you, the IUCN status for them is critically endangered, right? So have counting of them properly and then raise awareness about them. Okay, and it will commence from September 7th and will be concluded by October 6. September 7, you should also remember, is also celebrated as International Vulture Awareness Day. Okay. These are the categories of vulture which you have, which will be in the focus. Also, I would like to discuss one thing with you. This is a general awareness thing for you. You should remember what is happening. So, vulture population, why this sudden decline in the vulture population? Because of a drug which is anti-inflammatory, is diclofenac. Now, what happens in India? Cattles, cattles are injected with this anti-inflammatory drug, right? So painkiller and all activities it serves. Now, when the cattle dies, the vultures, they feed upon them, right? It gets transmitted to them and it destroys their kidney. This has been reported as one of the prominent reasons for sudden decline of vulture population. Are you getting my point? So you should know this name as well, diclofenac. All right. Now moving ahead, then you have next news, which is regarding your CBDT. So CBDT, Central Board of Direct Taxes, is in a plan to have e-dispute. So it has basically notified it, e-dispute resolution scheme. E-dispute resolution scheme. They want to resolve disputes related to direct tax filing, income tax filing, and they want to reduce the litigation process basically. You see, there have been sustained efforts so far from related concerned departments like CBDT to streamline the process of grievance redressal, dispute resolution, and then to reduce the number of litigations. Okay, so this is in line with that thing. Okay, just remember this. You can go to the news. There are certain facts, if you want to remember, you can just try and remember them. This Bio E3 policy then, which is in news, we have also discussed this thing yesterday, Bio E3 policy. Okay, so Science and Tech Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh has formally released new Bio E3 policy. By Bio E3, remember what E3 is there in Bio E3? Tell me quickly, what is E3 in Bio E3? Bio E3, what is E3 in Bio E3? Quickly. Yesterday also, I have discussed this thing with you. Yes, anyone? What is E3? Economy, employment, and energy. Okay. All right. So you know, Bio E3 aims basically to capitalize upon bioengineering, right? Biomanufacturing in all these spheres and then take advantage of it. Okay? To foster high performance of biomanufacturing and then serve the final aim of net zero carbon emission. So we want to have bio-based chemicals and enzymes, then functional foods and smart proteins, then precision bio therapeutics, then climate resilient agriculture. So we want to utilize the technology of biomanufacturing into all these spheres, okay, to make it more environmentally sustainable and then align with the final aim of net zero emissions. If you see, India's bioeconomy is expected to reach $300 billion by 2030. You can remember this data and then quote it in the significance of biomanufacturing and biotechnology in your answers, right? Next you have is a news from Panchayati Raj. So Ministry of Panchayati Raj, IIM Bodh Gaya, organized 5-day management development program. This is not very much important, but then just giving you a reference to the news. Then you have a state news. So yes, UP government to build Vedic 3D museum in Varanasi. So remember the location. Vedic 3D museum is to be opened up or established at Varanasi, okay, in the university, and then the state-of-the-art museum It is dedicated to Indian astrology, astronomy, and Vedic literature. So it is basically related to your astro sciences, astrology, astronomy, and Vedic literature. So remember the location. It is easy to remember the location, V for Vedic and V for Varanasi. Now you will never forget, right? So try to remember facts like this for any examination. Then you have governor of Arunachal Pradesh inaugurating 2-day national seminar on Mithun, right? So we have discussed this news yesterday as well. Mithun is very important animal in Arunachal Pradesh also. So yesterday I have discussed this news, right? This seminar has been launched for the awareness, and Mithun Day is also celebrated in Itanagar. If you remember, you need to remember this data that highest Mithun population is in Arunachal Pradesh. Okay. Then moving on to some international news. So PDFs are already provided to you. International news. Paris zinc roofs seek elusive UNESCO heritage status. Now see, there are something called as zinc roofs. If you want to see the pictures, you can just Google it, right? So Paris, in a process of reconstruction around 1800s or what, there were zinc roofs constructed. It is a masterpiece of craftsmanship, right? Also, one more significance which it holds at present day is of climate related, that they have sustained adaptation to the climate changes. Why am I saying that? Because they are zinc roofs. Now zinc is reusable. Getting my point? So it has a combination of climate sustainability, climate change mitigation, and then craftsmanship. That's why they want it to be there in the category of heritage, UNESCO heritage status, and that too in the intangible, because of the craftsmanship, because of the skill, because of the art, right? Now, why is it environmentally sustainable? Why am I saying? Although there is a problem that it absorbs heat. Now, since it absorbs heat, it is good for the surrounding, but then who comes under the roof, it is not good for that person. Right? It is said that it can raise the temperature under the area covered under the roof by 10 degrees Celsius in comparison to the surrounding. So it absorbs the heat, but that is the challenge. Now that challenge is also going to be addressed by using some light paints and all. So this is something which can be used further, right, for heat absorption and all, and it is reusable, so less of waste. So waste management purpose also done. Remember this thing. You can use such examples in your answer writing. That's why I explain you them, right? Next thing which you have is so you have the WHO and the International Paralympic Committee launching Equipped for Equity campaign. Remember who have launched this campaign jointly? Equipped for Equity campaign by WHO and International Paralympic Committee. What is the aim? Aim is basically to showcase the extraordinary talents of the athletes, of such Paralympic athletes. Okay. Then this is not important. Then there is this news. So to protect the critical national infrastructure, South Korea has announced to conduct offensive cyber defense operations. Cyber crimes, if you see, have gained so much of momentum, right? Almost everyone now is affected by cyber crime. If not, even if you are successful and not in escaping the attack or the malware, but still they are able to reach almost everyone, even if not making them victim. Are you getting my point? So South Korea has announced that it will be conducting an offensive cyber defense operation to protect its national infrastructure. This is something which can be utilized with the cyber security answers. Then in Gaza, you know what is the situation. So UN agencies in Gaza, they have launched campaign to vaccinate 6,40,000 children against polio. So remember, Gaza Strip mein there is a vaccination drive by UN agencies against polio. Then you have certain mergers and acquisitions. So your Hindustan Aeronautics Limited has signed an agreement with the Safal Helicopter Engines Private Limited to develop a new power plant for its Indian Indian multi-role helicopter program. Indian multi-role helicopter program. So remember who has collaborated and for what they have collaborated. Okay. HAL and the Safal helicopters are there for Indian multi-role helicopters. Then in the awards and books categories, we need to discuss this award. This is important. You must have read this name somewhere. Raman Magsaysay Award. Raman Magsaysay Award. Raman Magsaysay Award. So Raman Magsaysay Awards, they have been very famous. First of all, let's discuss about the Raman Magsaysay Awards. They were established in 1957. It was established to preserve third Philippine president Raman Magsaysay's example of integrity in governance and idealism in a democratic society. So basically, these awards serve a purpose. A purpose of what? Celebrating integrity in governance. Integrity, probity in governance, right? So if you see the 66th edition of Raman Magsaysay Award 2024, the list of winners is there. So first you see is from Bhutan, then you have Miyazaki from Japan, then you have some rural doctors movement from Thailand, then you have Vietnam participants winners as well, and from Indonesia as well. So just remember these names, right? Rural Doctors Movement from Thailand, Farviza Farhan. For forest conservation, Indonesia. Then you have Miyazaki Hayao, who's a filmmaker from Japan. Then you have Karma Funsho from Bhutan. And then you have Nguyen Thi Phuong from Vietnam, right? A doctor from Vietnam. Pardon me if I'm wrong on any of the pronunciations. You know it is quite difficult. That's why. Then you have certain sports categories, sports news. You can go through these news. These are just facts, right? We need not discuss them. Appointments may you have Sharat Kamal being appointed as the first Indian ambassador of International Table Tennis Federation Foundation. Then you have V. Satish Kumar taking additional charge of IOCL. Then obituaries, senior journalist, veteran journalist Umesh Upadhyay has been there in the name, and the famous book is there. So remember the name of the book, Western Media Narratives on India from Gandhi to Modi. They can ask you the author of the book as well. Then in the important days, you have World Coconut Day, okay, September 2, and the theme is Coconut for Circular Economy, Building Partnership for Maximum Value. And 1st to 7th September is National Nutrition Week. This is again important. 1st to 7th September is National Nutritional Week. Just remember this. All right. So this was all about your 1st and 2nd September news. I hope this is clear to all of you. So far, whatever we have discussed. Now, moving ahead with the further news analysis. If you see, This was 1st and 2nd. All right. Now we need to discuss the 3rd September news. 3rd, 4th and 5th. In the 3rd again, so e-Shram has been in the news. E-Shram is there, so it has registered more than 30 crore unorganized workers. This is a success. As I told you, this is a step towards formalization of the economy and formalization of the much informal economy going on in the in the Indian economy segment. So if you see, informal economy still more than 85%, right? That might be more than 90% even, but still to be on a safer side, I'm saying more than 85%. So we need to formalize it. Okay. This is again e-Shram portal. We have discussed that thing, and it is an achievement that it has been able to register more than 30 crore unorganized workers. And it is under Ministry of Labor and Employment. Then you have World Bank revising India's GDP forecast. So it has raised the forecast for Indian economy to 7%. Okay. The earlier projection was 6.6. The earlier projection was 6.6. Now it is 7%. Then you have banking news. So ESAF, Small Finance Bank, to expand Dabba saving accounts campaign. Now this is important and interesting. You see, I have always given this example to all of you, isn't it, in my classes, that savings which are there in the Dabba are not very beneficial for the economy. They have to be channelized towards the bank deposits, isn't it? We have seen these examples. So basically, they want to empower the women. They want to channelize the savings of the rural women particularly within the mainstream banking system. Now, why is this called Dabba? Because you see, traditionally, women have a habit of storing. What is the schedule? So, right now it is 11, okay, 11 a.m. So you see, they want to promote financial inclusion, as I have told you. Why is this name Dabba over there? Because traditionally, rural women, they have a practice of saving, you see, some money in chini ka dabba or rice ka dabba or aटे ka dabba and all these things. So that's why the campaign, now they want to actively channelize them into the mainstream banking system. So Dabba savings account campaign, it also, remember, it also has won bronze in the Sustainable Development Goals category at Cannes International Festival of Creativity recently, which was held. So remember this is important. Then next news is again a chatbot. A new chatbot has been launched, Gen AI enabled chatbot Leo, okay, on WhatsApp. So who has launched this is important. So future General India Insurance, you see, has introduced a new chatbot Leo on WhatsApp. Leo is there. You all must be knowing this. Then you have some national and state news. So in the national news, Cabinet has approved 7 major schemes. So you should remember the names of these schemes. And these are basically revolving around improvement of the farmers' lives and livelihood. So these are targeting the farmers particularly. Let's see which all are the categories of these schemes. First is Digital Agriculture Mission. Digital Agriculture Mission. You need not remember every outlay now here, but you just try to understand what does the scheme aims to. So it comprises 3 pillars: AgriStack, then Krishi Decision Support System, and Soil Profile Mapping. In AgriStack, they will try to maintain a registry of farmers and then village land maps and all, crop zone registry. You see why these kind of schemes? Because improper information on farmland, informalization of land and fragmentation of land and lack of land records, they have been some of the major challenges of Indian agriculture culture since independence, even before independence, right? So these are some of these steps to address such challenges, and then streamline all these solutions into one scheme. Okay. Then you have Krishi Decision Support System. This will include some geospatial data related to drought, flood monitoring, which can be used for extreme weather condition mitigation and reducing the risk of such extreme climatic situations, weather conditions on the crops and the farmers. And then soil profile mapping as well. Then you have crop science for food and nutritional security as the second scheme. Wants to promote research and education to integrate actively the applications of science, crop science, and to ensure food nutrition and security. Then it also encompasses plant genetic resource management, genetic improvement for food and fodder crop, pulse and oilseed crop improvement, improvement of commercial crops. So we want to improve the crops. So under the crop science missions, we want to have genetic improvements and crop improvements. Then in the next scheme, you see strengthening agricultural education, management and social sciences. So it will prepare agriculture students and researchers for current challenge. So we want to have people, our human resources, well equipped to understand and then to try to devise solutions for the concurrent challenges of Indian agriculture. Then you have sustainable livestock health and production to increase farmers' income from livestock and dairy. If you see one statement which I can give you, you can write these in your answers and all related to some schemes. Animal husbandry or livestock rearing is known as the insurance to the rural households, is known as insurance for the rural households. Okay, famously it is known as. So animal husbandry is known as insurance. Why? Because for farmers, the alternative apart from farming, what provides them insurance? The cattle rearing, the animal husbandry. Right? Even if say crop fails, they can survive with the help of their cattle which they have reared so far. I hope this is clear, right? Then you have sustainable development of horticulture. So horticulture plants say we want to develop or double the farmers' income. Then strengthening of the Krishi Vigyan Kendras which are already there. Then natural resource management. So these are certain schemes. You should remember I have already explained you the main dimensions associated with them. Then you have UN releasing $100 million for humanitarian emergencies in 10 countries. You see geopolitical tensions and other kind of political instabilities are going on in some of the countries. So United Nations has released $100 million fund for humanitarian emergencies in 10 countries. Okay. Also in climate affected countries. So they keep on assisting these countries. Then you have Cabinet's approval for a 309 kilometer long new line project. So it is a new railway line. It will cover 6 districts in 2 states. So 2 states are to be covered, which are Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. Total 30 stations will be there. This is to enhance the mobility directly among all these districts and among these 2 states, right? So there's this new line between Indore, MP, right, and Manmad, Maharashtra. So Indore and Manmad, Indore, MP, and Manmad, Maharashtra. Just remember this thing, railway line. All right, then we have a news related to semiconductors, that the cabinet has approved a semiconductor unit under India Semiconductor Mission. It is proposed, so this is proposal of Keynes Semicon Private Limited. They are allowed to set up a semiconductor unit where? In Gujarat, in Sanand. If you see, this is to be established or located in Sanand, Gujarat. The capacity will be 60 lakh chips per day. 60 lakh electronic chips per day. Okay. Then 3 more semiconductor units, they were approved earlier, so you should remember them as well. So Tata Electronics was allowed to set up semiconductor fabrication unit in Dholera, Gujarat. Remember these news as well. Dholera, Gujarat, and 1 semiconductor unit in Moregaon, Assam. Okay, then CG Power is setting up a semiconductor unit in Sanand, Gujarat. Again, this is another unit. So remember these semiconductor units. Why am I focusing so much on this semiconductor news? If you remember, we have discussed the importance and application of this thing. Semiconductors, if you see, these are used. If you see, semiconductors have a wide range of application. You name the field and there's the application of semiconductor industry. Almost, right? Not exactly. So you have application in the automotive industry, you have their application in the electronics, you have their application in the healthcare. So almost every, and semiconductors causes us a huge import bill. We have to import it from Taiwan or China. So they are the leaders in semiconductor production. All right. Why India has not been able to do so for so long? It requires huge capital investment. But now we are streamlining this gap. We are trying to fill in this gap and reduce our dependence on the semiconductors imported from China or Taiwan. That's why this holds very much significance. And this is the future industry. Future industry. We need to expand our legs into it, right? This is the thing. Then you have Investor Education and Protection Fund Authority under the aegis of Ministry of Corporate Affairs launching a new 5-digit toll-free number. So remember, 14453 is a new toll-free number basically to for customer supports. This is not so important. Next you have is cabinet approval for procurement of 240 aero engines for Indian Air Forces Su-30 Mk1 aircraft. So remember, this procurement is to be done. Okay. Next news which you have in this series, this is something we have already discussed. This 5 days campaign by Ministry of Panchayati Raj, IIM Amritsar. Okay, we have discussed already. Then directly moving on to the international news, nothing more is more important. So you have Prime Minister Modi embarking upon for 2-nation visit to Brunei and Singapore. So there is a 2-nation visit to Brunei and Singapore on 3rd September to boost ties and then celebrate diplomatic relations with them. This is something really important. This is important. So if you have seen in the news and all, Abu Dhabi Crown Prince, okay, so Sheikh Khalid bin Mohammed bin Zayed, Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, has officially inaugurated the Indian Institute of Technology Delhi Abu Dhabi campus. So now you have IIT Delhi's campus opening up in Abu Dhabi. This is important. It is going to increase India's soft power with Abu Dhabi. It is going to take India's soft power in diplomacy. We call it as soft power, right? So you have hard power and soft power. In hard power, you have these direct confrontations and wars and all these as the tools, or your military strength or defense strength or strategic strength. Then in soft power, we call for diplomatic relations, cultural ties, students' relations, relations of the societies or the people of these 2 nations, any 2 nations. So it will take our soft power to the next level. So this is important. Also, then there's a news that South Korea is announcing a scheme, trusted tour operator scheme, to enhance its tourism from India, and China is also one of the destinations, but this is particularly for India. So remember who has launched this thing? Trusted Tour Operator Scheme, South Korea, to enhance tourism ties with India. Then you have this merger or MOU. So Bisleri International Private Limited has signed an agreement with the government of Goa for what? For enhancing plastic waste management. Okay, remember this. Bottle for Change initiative is also of Bisleri's CSR initiative to combat plastic pollution and have sustainable development initiatives. Now, Global Innovation Index, very, very important. Global Innovation Index. So, India has achieved 40th rank. Remember this thing for every upcoming examination. 40th rank. India has achieved 40th rank among 132 economies globally in the 2023 edition of Global Innovation Index. Also remember who publishes the index. So, World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO. World Intellectual Property Organization publishes the index, and the Global Innovation Index ranking is something very important. It also holds significance in investment sentiments, right? So to attract investors, your ranking in ease of doing business, global innovation, Transparency International, these actually they matter. Are you getting my point? Then you have certain reports. So World Travel and Tourism Council, according to an annual report of them, has recorded, has said $1 out of every $10 spent globally on 2024 will be on travel. So travel business is actually expanding. This is the thing. Then if you see festivals, so Nallur Kandaswamy temple in Jaffna, Sri Lanka is in the news. Why is this temple is in the news? Because it is attracting thousands of devotees for its annual chariot festival. Okay. So there's this festival known as Ther Thiruvisa. It was celebrated with thousands of devotees pulling the intricately decorated. So there's a chariot which is decorated very extensively with the idol of Lord Murugan. Okay, while chanting lot of hymns. So remember the location, it is in Sri Lanka. Sports news is something you can go with the news. You just have to remember these facts, awards, participants. We need to not discuss these news. Although I'll be taking up when we'll be having daily current affairs. Now it's to save time, it is not rational to go with such facts. Okay. So appointments in conferences and committees, you first have FSIB. So FSIB recommends Ram Mohan Roy for SBI MD post. So your Financial Services Institutions Bureau recommended Rama Mohan Rao for the post of Managing Director of SBI. Okay, he is currently Deputy Manager Director at SBI. So remember the name. Conferences में you have Tourism Ministers Conference in Shillong recently had, not important. Again, next conference is there. So India and UNESCO, they are co-organizing Chief Science Advisors Roundtable in Paris. So this is important. Remember the location and the name of the conference as well. Remember, what is the CSAR, Chief Science Advisors Roundtable Conference, to be held in Paris, France on 6th September, co-organized by India and UNESCO. So basically to have more cooperation and ties in relation to science and building their scientific capacity globally. This is the thing. Committees. This is important. So Center has notified the constitution of 23rd Law Commission. Okay, 23rd Law Commission. So term will be for 3 years, as you know. Total members, if you see the composition, so one full-time chairperson is there. Then you have 4 full-time members. Then Secretary of Department of Legal Affairs, ex officio member, ex officio members. Then you have another ex officio member, secretary of legislative department. So these two persons, whosoever holds the charge, will be ex officio members of your of any law commission. So 23rd law commission also has. Then serving Supreme Court and High Court judges, they will be chairperson and members of the law commission. So who is the chairperson? Serving Supreme Court judge, right? Now you have obituaries, important days and persons in news. So you don't have any obituaries, you have important day here. What is the important day? So the Directorate General of Aeronautical Quality Assurance celebrated 71st Raising Day at DRDO Bhavan. Okay. This was it. Ex officio means what? Okay. Ex officio means by virtue of a post. For example, let me give an example of Niti Aayog, right? So Niti Aayog mein, by virtue of being Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi will be the chairperson. Yes or no? So it is not the person who is the chairperson, it is the post. So by virtue of the post, ex officio means by virtue of the post. So that post is the chairperson. Whosoever holds that post will be the chairperson. This is what we mean by ex officio, by the virtue of the post. All right. Okay. So next, now we have 4th September and 5th September news to be covered. All right, 4th September. So in the 4th September news, first in ESI finance business category, you have finance ministry decided to sell 6.78% of their stake in GIC-RE for rupees 4,700 crores, 700 crores. Now, what is this GIC-RE? So, General Insurance Corporation of India RE basically is it was set up for reinsurance. Now, you need to understand insurance, you all know. What is reinsurance? Reinsurance basically means providing insurance to those who are providing you the insurance. Are you getting my point? Right? Providing insurance to those who are providing you the insurance. Yes, reinsurance. So there are corporations, companies which provide cover to the companies which provide you insurance cover. This is reinsurance business and these are the reinsurers. So it is one of the reinsurers, right? So government wants to basically sell out certain stake out of it. Now I want you to answer, what is this receipt called as? Any one of you? What do we call it? Or under since it is for 4,700 crores, so government will receive 4,700 crores, okay? Now, these will be which kind of receipts? This is my question to you. 4,700 crores under the budgetary classification, if you see, will be placed under which category? Yes, anyone? Just excuse me for a second. All right. Disinvestment, that is okay, but revenue receipt or capital receipt? That is what I'm asking. Revenue receipt or capital receipt? It is going to be a capital receipt. Very good. Because it is reducing government's assets, isn't it? All right. So next news which you have is GSTN. So GSTN is the network which manages your IT application and part of the GST. Okay, so GSTN is GST network. So your IT part of the GST system. It was developed by Infosys. Yes, very good. Capital. So GSTN to launch IMS from October 1 to facilitate taxpayers in invoice matching. Basically, GST network wants to launch invoice management system. That is what IMS stands for. Invoice management system. What does it aim to do? It will allow the recipient taxpayers to either accept or reject an invoice or to keep it pending in the system. So basically, it is a way to match your records or invoices vis-a-vis or in relation with the records or invoices issued by the supplier to avail correct ITC. So match it from the both of these sides, and to do away with any of the chances of the mismatches, GSTN plans to start this facility. All right, to get correct ITC. Now, ITC is something, input tax credit is something I have discussed with you. You remember what is ITC? So, ITC is an important provision of GST structure. Input tax credit. What is input tax credit? Basically, GST wants to add value addition, right? It wants to tax value added, right? Earlier, we had output method. So, we taxed whatever came out as output in the market. Now we want to tax what you have added to the product. And when I say value addition, what I mean, just remember, say you are producing biscuit out of wheat, right? So earlier we used to tax wheat sold in the market, then we used to tax biscuit sold in the market. Double taxation was there. Also, the final consumer had to pay higher prices, market prices. Why? Because this is indirect tax. It has to be transferred to the consumer, isn't it? Yes, cascading effect of tax. Very good, Shreya, right? So to reduce all these things, now we are focusing on value added taxation. GST is one of them. If you have added say 100 rupee value to wheat and via transforming it into a biscuit, so we want to tax you only on that 100 rupee. The input, for example, in this example is wheat, is not going to be taxed. Whatever you have incurred to purchase that input, in this example is the wheat, will be credited back to your account, which is input tax credit. Or if you have paid any tax, on the purchase of input, has to be credited back, because we don't want to tax your inputs, we want to tax what you have added as value to the commodity. Are you getting my point, everyone? This is the idea. So all these steps, they are in this line. Also, ITC is giving benefits to a lot of producers, but it is also something being misused a lot. So that's why streamlining all these things is very, very important. Then you have FDI inflows jumping 47.8% to $16.17 billion, right? So FDI inflows, they are rising. Now, what you remember from here, what is important from here, which are the sectors which have attracted highest number of FDI inflows? Of course, services. Services is there, then computer, then telecom and pharma sector. Remember, this is very important. The services attracting highest FDI, the source of the FDI, the country as a source, from where you are getting the maximum FDI. So, rise in the inflow of FDI country from where? Mauritius. Mauritius is the largest, then second Singapore, then US, then Netherlands, UAE, then your Cayman Islands, and then your Cyprus. From which country FDIs have declined? Comparatively, Japan, UK and Germany. If you talk about the state, which state has received maximum FDI? Maharashtra. This information, if you see, you have direct questions in the top 100 MCQs given to you by Ashok sir, right? So that's how you see the importance of such news. Maharashtra is the state. Maharashtra is the state receiving highest FDI. And in states which it has declined is also important. In Delhi and Rajasthan, remember, Delhi and Rajasthan, it has declined over the period of time. Then you have another important fact here, that according to MOSPI, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, Telangana, Tamil Nadu and Rajasthan, they have recorded highest growth in real gross state domestic product. So if you see, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, they top in the GSDP growth. What is GSDP? Yes. What is GSDP? So like we have GDP for the country, we have GSDP for the state. So market value of all the goods and services produced by factors of production within the geographical boundary of that state. All the final goods and services, not the intermediate one, remember, is GSDP. So Tamil Nadu, maximum real GSDP growth. Also it is real, not nominal. I hope it is real, right? Yes, real, right? Not nominal. Not nominal. So real GDP is calculated at the basic price. So the present base year is 11-12, you already know. And the nominal GDP is the current year GDP, calculated at the current year prices. So this is the thing. Remember this thing. This is very, very important. Telangana, then Tamil Nadu, and then Rajasthan. Okay. And if you see the sector which has contributed most, this is quite easy to guess, service sector, because service sector is almost contributing maximum to the overall growth, isn't it? So sector, if they ask, is service sector. Then you have banking news further. So there is Banking of India launching a fixed deposit scheme called Star Dhan Vridhi Fixed Deposit. Remember who has launched this? Star Dhan Vridhi Fixed Deposit. So there is a fixed deposit scheme, it is, and it will be for 333 days. Easier to remember. 333 days, and it is effective from September 1. Interest rate, if you see, for super senior citizens, it will be 7.9 per annum, then senior citizens, and then general public. So this is the scheme, a kind of fixed deposit. Okay, then again you have payment interface related news. If you see this year's paper and previous year's papers of RBI, other examinations, recently RBI was done, that's why I'm taking example from RBI. Digital payments is one of the very important sectors. Whatever is in news, you have to remember it to be on a safer side, digital payments, right? So if you see, UPI surpasses 3,700 transactions per second. So your UPI, it has emerged as the world's most popular alternative payment method, okay, which with these number of transactions per second in 2023. Other such alternative payment methods are UPI India, then Skrill, then Pix, which is of Brazil, and then Alipay, China. So remember, to which country do these payment systems belong to, alternative payment methods belong to? All right. Is it clear? So remember this thing. So UPI leads this thing. Okay, what is alternative payment method? Any payment method which does not involve your traditional way of cash or cards and all. So wallets, for example, and these things. Then you have AU Small Finance Bank. AU Small Finance Bank applies to RBI for a transition to universal bank. It wants to become a universal bank. What is universal bank? So as the name suggests, presently it is small finance bank. So it's catering to the product line which a small finance bank can offer. When I say product line in finance or banking, product line means whatever services you are offering to the public. Okay, so rather than writing this entire sentence, services offered by a bank, just use this word, would be more effective and impressive. Product line. Okay, so product line in universal banking, they have a huge or diversified product line. So they, apart from the working in the core banking functions, they also involve in financial and investment activities. Basically, this is what universal banking entails. Yes, all kind of services, to say broadly. So product line is diversified in this case. AU, a small finance bank, wants to become a universal bank. Now, what is important here is how do you do that? There should be some minimum requirements. So yes, what are the minimum requirements? So RBI guidelines, if you see, are there. For that, you need to have minimum net worth of 1000 crore at the end of the previous quarter. Then shares of the bank should have been listed on a recognized stock exchange, and you should have net profit in last 2 financial years, and GNPA and NNPA of less than or equal to 3% and 1% respectively. Then some CRAR requirements are also there and all. So remember recently which bank has applied? AU Small Finance Bank. Then you have national news category. So there's this AI vision on your mobile apps rolled out by Air India. Basically, it is a new feature, AI vision. On the mobile app of Air India, it will give you real-time trip updates, right? In the entire course of your travel. This is the thing. Then there is this news, Honorable President Draupadi Murmu has inaugurated Vishwa Shanti Buddha Vihara in Maharashtra. Okay, Buddha Vihara in Maharashtra. So remember, so this has been inaugurated in Latur district of Maharashtra. If you have read some history, Buddhism, or if you have read about Buddhism, you might be knowing there were these sacred places associated with Buddhism known as Chaityas and Viharas. Yes or no? Chaityas and Viharas. Can anyone tell me the difference between these two on the basis of the purpose for which they were used? Chaityas were used for what and Viharas for what? Anyone? Chaityas and Viharas? Alright, so let me tell you, Chaityas and Viharas are particularly prominent to Buddhism, but they are also related to Jainism history if you see. So they have been places, Chaityas particularly if you see, were a center of assembly, worshipping by these monks. Viharas, they were like you have now if you go on a road trip, so you need some places to rest, right, in between. So they were places of rest for these monks, Viharas, on their trade routes. Is this clear? On their travel routes. Sorry, not trade routes, travel routes. So these were Chaityas and Viharas. This is one of the such example. Yes. So then you have Ministry of Labor and Employment pushing for inclusion of marginalized worker under your Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. So basically they want to have inclusion of migrant workers, building workers, BD workers, sign workers, non-coal mine workers, contract laborers and other unorganized workers to be covered under the aegis of PMAY. To be covered under the aegis of PMAY. Okay. What is the aim of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana? So you have different versions of it. Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban. What is the broader aim? Basically, covering households and populations for housing, right? So rural housing, urban housing, you see, providing financial assistance, these are the criterias. Now under this scheme, they also want to include these unorganized workers population. Then there's this new notary portal launched to make appointment of notaries. So remember, new notary portal has been launched by Arjun Ram Meghwal, Ministry of Law and Justice. Okay, it will be an online interface between the notaries and the government for various services. What are notaries? Notaries, basically they are services, they provide these services like related to your legal documents, signature and all, or other information which are required. Yes, housing for all. Yes. So in notaries, you have these kind of services like issuance and then renewal of certificates, signature, submission of returns, all these. So for that, they have launched an online portal. There is this scheme, fund, AgriSure Fund, launched by Union Agriculture Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan. What is this aim? What is the aim of this? If you see, startups and rural enterprises, to promote entrepreneurship. Yes, to promote entrepreneurship and startups in the agri ecosystem, basically. So basically, to integrate agricultural activities, business activities, startup ecosystem, entrepreneurship extensively with each other. Okay, to promote rural and agri startups. So total capital fund here will be 750 crore. It will be managed by NAB Ventures, okay, who is a wholly owned subsidiary of NABARD. Contribution, if you see, distribution of the contribution in this fund is important. Government of India will contribute 250 crores, NABARD 250 crores, banks, insurance companies, other private investors 250 crores. So easy to remember, everyone will be investing 250 crores, right? So the contribution will be contributing 250 crores. So there's this company, Gensol Engineering Limited, in partnership with Matrix Gas and Renewables Limited. It has secured a contract worth rupees 164 crores to develop India's first biohydrogen project. Remember, India's first biohydrogen project is to be developed by Gensol Engineers Limited and Matrix Renewables. Okay. It will convert 25 tons of bio waste into 1 ton of hydrogen per day. Alright, it is important. You know already the importance of biohydrogen, isn't it? Video is stuck? Alright, there must be some problem from your side. Now there is this news that agriculture sector is underperforming in many large states. This is not a good news. We need to work upon it. Then you have Directorate General of Civil Aviation issuing new regulations to simplify the airworthiness requirements of light aircraft. So here, at present, if you see, there are two primary civil aviation requirements governing this airworthiness. So CAR-M and then CAR-145. Okay, in CAR-M, the continuing airworthiness of all aircraft types, including those used for scheduled operations, non-scheduled operations, flying training, general aviation, they are continuing with it. Then CR-145 calls for maintenance of aircraft used in commercial operations particularly and complex motor aircraft. This is not so much important. Just go through this information, right? Not very much important. Now this is important. Your Ministry of Cooperation wants to digitalize all your primary agricultural credit societies, PSCs, right? PSCs. So there's an objective of digitalizing PSCs. Then you have state news. So you have 3 days Armed Forces Festival inaugurated in Lucknow, okay, at Surya Khel Parisar in Lucknow. So this is just an information. Then you have Sauras. Sauras, they become fifth particularly vulnerable tribal group to get habitat rights in the state. So this is important. This is important. Remember, this tribe, Sauras tribes, they belong to Gajapati district, Odisha. So remember the location. They have become the fifth tribal group in the state to get the rights that allow them to protect and preserve natural entities. Their natural entities which their lives revolves closely around with sacred sites and the places of religious and spiritual importance located within their habitat. So this is the right which they have. Then since this is in the news, so it also becomes important to know which all other PVTGs are there which are added to scheduled tribes list in Odisha. So what all are the PVTGs? Can anyone tell me what do we mean by PVTGs? Particularly vulnerable tribal groups. What do we exactly mean by PVTGs? So other PVTGs from Odisha, first this is Sauras. You should remember. So Pauri Bhuyan and Pauri Bhuyan. Then you have Chuktiya Bhunjia. Then you have Bondo community. Then you have Mankidia community. Okay. Apart from Odisha, Madhya Pradesh has given habitat rights to Bharia PVTGs. Bharias, they belong to Madhya Pradesh. Remember, Bharias. Okay. Bharias are also PVTGs, and Chhattisgarh government has given to Kamar and Bega tribes or Bega PVTGs. So remember their locations, to which region do they belong. Now tell me who are PVTGs. PVTGs, particularly vulnerable tribal groups. Anyone? Yes. So see, as the particularly vulnerable tribal groups, these are special groups created out of your tribal communities only, which the government thinks needs more attention, right? Tribes with lesser population, yes, so they need more policies, they need more securities, right? They require more government help, intervention for their existence in comparison to other scheduled tribes. Is this clear? Yes or no? Vulnerability, yes. So vulnerability is the basic criteria, as I told you. Low literacy, economically backward. So vulnerability in terms of all these parameters, right? Okay. So next, international news, you have PM Narendra Modi inaugurating new premises of the High Commission of India in Brunei. Okay. So this is not very important. Just remember the country where this has been inaugurated is Brunei. So in MOUs you have National Test House signing MOU with Bureau of Energy Efficiency, basically to strengthen the standards and labeling program, okay, and then promote energy efficiency across the country. This is it. Then you have Central and Tripura government, then representatives of National Liberation Front of Tripura and All Tripura Tiger Force signing an MOU in New Delhi. This is to bring peace and prosperity in the northeast. Then just remember, Competition Commission of India has given nod to US based private equity firm General Atlantic's. So General Atlantic, it has proposed to acquire 100% stake in Actis Holdings, right? So presently, if you see, Actis Holdings is a sustainable infrastructure investor, invests globally in energy infrastructure. So Competition Commission of India has given a nod for this acquisition. All right, again important MOU, Comptroller and Auditor General of India has signed an MOU with the Accountability Authority of UAE. Why? The objective is to promote and develop cooperation between the two. Okay, and other areas which are there, they are related to knowledge exchange and then experience in the area of public auditing, capacity development programs and all. Before moving ahead, you tell me, CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General of India, is a constitutional post, office or a statutory one? If constitutional, then which article? If not, then that's okay. Tell me your answer. Anyone? Yes, quickly. Anyone? Which article? CAG. Constitutional. Okay. Article. Yes, of course it is. Constitutional post, constitutional office. Article 148 of the Indian Constitution. Remember. Okay. You can read all these other MOUs, but now because it involves RBI, so let me discuss this with you. So Laboratory for Innovation Venturing and Entrepreneurship of Indian Institute of Management Kozhikode, IIMK, and RBI Innovation Hub, these two have they have joined forces to revolutionize the fintech sector in India. So they want to collaborate further in the fintech sector basically. So remember, RBIH is also involved here, RBI Innovation Hub. Then in the reports, you see fintech unicorns. So India is home to 26 fintech unicorns with a combined market value of $90 billion. This is important. Just remember, this much is important. So India is also becoming a new hub, also that too of the fintech unicorns. Okay, tell me the rank of India in terms of number of unicorns which we have, and which is the first country if India is not. Quickly. Yes, anyone? Okay, so this is not important, this news. Singapore? No, USA. USA is the right answer. US is the largest one, then India. So another news, credit card market in India to double. So credit card market is doubling in India. Okay, it is growing in volume as well. So if you see, digital payments in India, they continue to thrive, and transactional volume, if you see, is growing by 42% on year basis. 42% on year basis in 23-24. There is according to Morgan Stanley research, A boom in data centers is expected to produce 2.5 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide. Now, this is again of concern. You see, data centers are the norm of the day and the future industry, right? But still, they have a lot of carbon footprint. So, they have environmental challenges as well. So, you can integrate this thing with them, right? They are also producing this much of carbon dioxide, emitting, not producing. Then this is not important. Another news which you have is, okay, so now you have awards in these categories. So 27th National Conference on E-Governance, it was held at Geo World Convention Center in Mumbai and was organized by Department of Administrative Reforms and Ministry of Electronics, MeitY basically, and Government of Maharashtra. Theme was, remember the theme was Viksit Bharat, Secure and Sustainable E-Service Delivery. Remember the theme of 27th National Conference on E-Governance, Viksit Bharat, Secure and Sustainable E-Service Delivery. So there were different category awards given under this, right, which includes a trophy, certificate, and for gold awardees 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, and silver awardees 5 lakhs. This much is the amount. So who has won this thing? So ONDC receives gold award for what? For application of emerging technologies and providing citizen centric services. So ONDC gold award. Then you see Vokha Sathi, which is AI based assistant for help and interface, WhatsApp chatbot. It is an initiative of Nagaland, right? It has won gold award for its contribution to e-governance. So remember, particularly in Nagaland. Then you have Potion Tracker. It has also won gold under the category of government process re-engineering for digital transformation. Under this category, it has won gold. Then you have Lab Mitra, which is Varanasi's initiative. It has been awarded with gold, National E-Governance Gold Award in Administrative Reforms and E-Governance particularly. So remember ONDC, Vokha Sathi, then Potion Tracker and Lab Mitra, right? Sports you can just go through. Then there are certain appointments, not important. We are done with the 4th September news and let's begin with the last one, which is 5th. So you have 5th September news. Then in ESI, first is India's medium term outlook, if you see, is expected to remain positive. Amid challenges, challenging external conditions. So according to World Bank, if you see the overall outlook for India, medium term outlook, it has been positive. Okay, so although there are certain external challenges, merchandise trade contracting, then you have geopolitical tensions, you have tight monetary policies, global inflation, rising public debt, all these challenges. Despite these challenges, Indian position stands to be positive according to World Bank. Then you have EPS new rules to come into effect from January 1. So Union Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Mansukh Mandavia, has proposed for a centralized pension payment system for your employees pension scheme, right? Centralized payment system. It will come from effect in effect from January 1st, 2025. Okay, it will be launched as a part of EPFO's ongoing IT modernization project. So basically, they want to modernize all these social security related schemes and products offered by them. So this is in line with that. Then you see Virat Kohli being top taxpayer among the sports stars, right? So many of you are fond of some of these celebrities, right? So in the sports category, if you see Virat Kohli is the top taxpayer, then you see other celebrities. So Shah Rukh Khan is also there, then Thalapathy Vijay, then Salman Khan, Amitabh Bachchan, Virat Kohli, and then Ajay Devgan. So these are the top celebrities. Highest tax paying, right? Then this is not important. Cochin International Airport. You have regulatory bodies news now. So SEBI for overhaul of tracking household savings via market. Now what is this news? This is important. So your Securities and Exchange Board of India has come out with a working paper. It has proposed a change in methodology. A change in methodology of what? Change in methodology for computing household savings through Indian securities market. Whatever household savings are channelized via Indian securities market, we want to change the method of calculation for that. Okay, remember this is very important. Before moving ahead, if you see the financial assets of households as per the current RBI data, financial assets, so we are talking about the assets in the securities market, financial market, 23.67 lakh crores. Okay, what is the proposed methodology? The proposed methodology is that or with the proposed methodology, the figure will jump to 83.83 lakh crores. Generally, the RBI and the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, they publish the data on household savings, right, generated through various segments. One of such constituents is investment of households through securities market. Now, to arrive at such investments, RBI imputes 35% of the primary market issuance in equity and 40% to the public issuance of the debt. So how do they calculate? How do they calculate how much has the households, individuals or Hindu undivided families have been able to raise, or how much is the household investment? The mechanism is this: 35% imputed to the primary market issuance in equity and 40% to the public issuance of debt mobilized from individuals and HUFs, mobilized from individuals and Hindu undivided families. All right, remember this thing. So just remember, they want to change this methodology now. Okay. Then banking news mein you have Star Health launching insurance policy in Braille. So this is a good initiative. Star Health and Allied Insurance, they have launched a policy in Braille. So what is the name of this policy? Is Special Care Gold. Remember this thing, important. Special Care Gold. So it has been launched in Braille, right? It will serve to the individuals with 40% or more disability. So it is aimed for providing protection to the persons with disability. Remember the name Special Care Gold. In the national and state news, there is a course, lecture-based course launched by IIT Madras, which is National Defence, IIT Madras and National Defence College jointly they have launched this executive MBA in strategic leadership and public policy. Okay, so just remember the name, nothing more analytical is there. Now this is important, you can remember that according to the PFRDA, overall NPS assets, they have grew nearly 30%. 30%. So this is a new milestone for NPS. The assets, they have surged past 13 lakh crores, right? 13 lakh crores. So the contribution, if you see, strongly from the private sector is coming here. If you see The year-on-year growth for the private sector is 41.68. So they have contributed a lot. So you can remember it like this. So in the NPS assets rising more than 13 lakh crores, private sectors are contributing a lot. So in the production linked incentive schemes, Ministry of Heavy Industries has given a project of 10 gigawatt ACC capacity to Reliance Industries. Remember, okay? What is the aim? Basically to enhance domestic manufacturing capacity and simultaneously reducing the import dependence and positioning India as a global leader in ACC battery manufacturing. Okay, what is ACC, advanced chemistry cell battery storage? So for this we want to have import substitution. You see, battery storages are now in the news. Any technology associated with them are important, right? Because they are also serving the final aim of sustainable development and climate efficient technologies. So that's why these kind of news are important. Just remember these facts. There is a new center known as India Graphene Engineering. India Graphene Engineering and Innovation Center, which is launched by MeitY. Okay, launched by MeitY. What is the importance? What is the importance of this? So this will be providing you blockchain related applications and all, right? So it will be associated with blockchain technology related services. Then you have Reliance. This is something we have discussed, that this project has been given to Reliance. State news, you have Chhattisgarh scientists launching India's first COVID severity biomarker kit. So it is going to transform the way COVID-19 severity is predicted and managed. So it would be more efficient now. In that case, we will be able to deal with these situations more prudently. This much is only relevant. Then you have international news. Again, a typhoon is in news. So Typhoon Yagi has been in news because a red alert for this was issued by China's National Meteorological Center. Okay. So remember, country which it relates to, China. So there have been 4 MOUs signed between India and Singapore. Very, very important. So semiconductors, again, you will see semiconductors in news for upcoming lot of years. So one, semiconductor related, digital technology, health and skill development. Then you have another news in which India's 2 leading NBFCs, the Black Soil Capital and the Caspian Impact Investments, they have received approval from their boards to merge. Okay, so they are going to merge. Then you have world's largest low carbon hydrogen facility to be built in Texas. So remember, in partnership with Abu Dhabi National Oil Company and Exxon Mobil, it has been announced to develop world's largest low carbon hydrogen facility in Baytown, Texas. This is just a pure fact. You just remember the location. And also United Kingdom and India, they have launched UK Infrastructure Financing Bridge, basically to strengthen their financial and professional collaboration. Then you have science and technology or defense related news. So your Indian Navy and South African Navy, they have signed an agreement. Why? To support their submarine rescue support cooperation. So in to enhance their cooperation in the field of submarines and all, right? Then if you see the indices, rankings and reports, So according to a CRISIL report, the education loan assets under management of NBFCs, they are expected to grow at a healthy clip of 40-45% range, and this is good. So according to RBI data, education loan outstanding of banks was 1,23,066 crores. If you see NBFCs 90 plus day past due for education loans was 0.2% on March. So you need not go in much details of it. Just remember that the assets under management of NBFCs for education loan assets, they have grown or they are expected to grow further. What are assets under management? We have discussed number of times. So AUM basically is a metric which calculates the total market value of all your assets like shares and stocks outstanding in the market, isn't it? So total market value of them. So number of, say, stocks outstanding and multiplied by price of each share or stock respectively. Then you have India's rank in the alcoholic beverage exports. So India ranks 40th in world for alcoholic beverage exports. Sports category, again, just go through the facts. We need not discuss something here in the appointments and all. So you can remember these appointments. The Advertising Standards Council of India has appointed Partha Sinha as President and Chief Brand Officer. Then you have conferences. So 13th edition of International Government Communication Forum has been started in Sharjah, UAE. So remember the location and remember the theme: Agile Governments, Innovative Communication. So this is to have more diversified and agile approach in governance. So it has been started in Sharjah, UAE, and 13th edition of International Government Communication, Innovative Communication is there. Then you have, this is important, a 2-day global AI intelligence. So artificial intelligence summit to be held, to be inaugurated by Telangana Chief Minister, or it was inaugurated, right, in Hyderabad. What was the theme? So themes are important. Making AI work for everyone. Remember, making AI work for everyone. Also, India is to hold second edition of International Conference on Green Hydrogen. Where will it be hosted? I think we have discussed this news earlier as well, in New Delhi. So 11 to 13 September, New Delhi. You already know green hydrogen. So the fuel of the future, isn't it? Sustainable option is also driving India's and other developed nations' role towards clean and green energy. So this is important to be hosted by India, was hosted by India 11th and 13th September, between 11th and 13th September in New Delhi. Second edition was there. Then you have Global Textiles Expo Bharat Tex 2025 to be held in 2025. This is important. Remember, Global Textiles Expo, named as Bharat Tex 2025. It is to be held at Bharat Mandapam, New Delhi. Bharat Mandapam, New Delhi, at the India Expo Center of it, and Mart in Greater Noida from February 14 to 17, 2025. So these are the dates. Remember, from 14th February to 17th February 2025. What is the focus of this expo? It focuses on the vision of 5F. Remember, this is important. 5F are there: farm to fiber, fiber to factory, factory to fashion, and fashion to foreign. So basically, expanding the reach, technique of production, accessibility, and aligning them with the modern trends and fashion of textiles, right? So textile industry is going to benefit out of it. And you see, India's textile industry is also growing substantially. It is expected to grow to around 350 billion US dollars by 2030, which is a great volume, isn't it? So that is it for the news analysis of the time period encompassing 31st August to 5th September. I hope you have been able to understand all these things, and whatever I have highlighted as important, just try to remember them, and whatever was needed to be explained has been done. Remaining part, just go through the facts and try to mug up the facts, right? We need not discuss them. There's no requirement of discussion. You have to mug up, you have to cram up some of the facts. All right then, if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Otherwise, I'll end the session here. Any doubts? Anyone? All right. So, no doubts. Then I'll see you in the next session. Have a great day. Till then, I'll see you, right? Thank you so much for being interactive and focused for so long time frame. Thank you so much. Have a good day.